WCLN 1170 Radio and Cable Channel 16 are pleased to present We Should Know, hosted by J.W. Simmons, an upbeat, informative look at people, places, and issues facing our community. This education-based analysis of issues will remain positive and informative as we consider closely what we should know.
With us today, my name is J.W. Simmons, your host. We have three guests talking about a very important project and also a subject that you need to know about. I want to start with Will Blackman. Will is working on a project at the Halls Fire Department. As you can see, he's a scout. He's working on his Eagle Scout, and I'm going to call it an honor, Will. I want to thank you for being with us today to share some information, not only about the Scouts, but about a special project you're doing at the Halls Fire Department.
Yes, sir.
The other two folks, you know these people you've been on before, the chief of the Halls Fire Department, Brian Royal. Brian, thank you for coming back and being with us. I know you're on a tight schedule today. In fact, even when you're not working, you're also on the schedule with the Halls Fire Department, and that's 24/7 anyway.
That is correct, sir. Thank you.
Thank you for being with us. Erick, I don't know exactly what to say about this, but I just feel like I need to mention you've got probably as many years as anybody in the paramedic business in this county, and I'm trying to think off the top of my head, either you or Kevin Hare one.
Yeah, we went through the class about the same time, but I can't think the exact number of years, but it's been quite a few.
Absolutely, and you're supervisor over there, so not only are you in the midst of the fire, so to speak, but you're responding and making sure all of these other folks are getting that job done, which sometimes can get pretty burdensome.
Yes, sir. It's can be hectic at times. Stays busy a lot. We stay really busy. So.
Well, listen, I want to thank everybody for being here. Will, I want to start with you. One of the things that strikes me is when I found out what you were doing and what you had decided to do for your Eagle Scout project, I thought it was just huge because it's not only affecting the community in which you live in, but it's affecting huge numbers of people by the thousands that pass by the Halls Fire Department on US 701. And it faces a community in probably one of some of the most tragic times. And it's a need that I hadn't really thought about, Brian, until we got there. But I want to kind of open with, tell us about how you came up with this idea of a helicopter pad at Halls Fire Department and Rescue. Was that something that just struck you? Did you see it somewhere else, or how did this project come to fruition?
Well, I was looking for potential Eagle Scout projects that I could do in the area, and I thought of a couple, but none of them really I was 100% I want to do that one on. And the whole idea behind the Eagle Scout project is responsibility, managing stuff, and overall helping your community as much as you can with your project. And we asked if there was anything that needed to be done at the fire station, and he said they had been thinking about putting a helicopter pad in, but they never really had the funding or anybody to do it. So that one stuck out to me as I could help the community the most by doing that project.
I've got some pictures that were supplied to me of you with doing manual labor out there, laying the groundwork for this thing. Has this thing been, should I say, a heavier project than you even thought it was going to be?
Yeah, I didn't think it was going to be this much with not even just the manual work, but everything having to get checked off for so many requirements on the Eagle Scout project. Like, the people that you have are trying to make sure you're going to complete this project at the Eagle Scout board, are just making sure you can complete the project and you know what it's going to take. And even after filling out all that stuff, I didn't know it was going to be this much, but it's been good.
It is, to me, looking at it from the outside and trying to imagine what you're going through, is that the dynamic is you've not only got to look at the Eagle Scout board that you've got to make sure you check all those blocks, but also with the actual fabrication and building of this thing, it's got to meet certain specifications also, I'm sure.
Yeah, well, the Eagle Scout board isn't just all, because it's just, we had to get something done with the FAA. But we don't have to go by all of their requirements because it's not a heliport, it's just a Heli-Pad for emergency helicopter, so it didn't have to be as expensive and everything checked off as a heliport, but still you have to have some basic dimensions down that are suggested.
Brian, as fire chief, when you first picked up on this and saw that there was a potential of this happening, what did that mean to you, and what was your thoughts as it relates to the impact in that community?
When Will first came to us and wanted to know if there's anything we needed, the fire department is working on the Eagle Scout, and the helipad had come up, I said, this would be great. I said, this will be great for the community, because we're 8 miles from Clinton, so there's a helipad at the hospital in Clinton. We're 8 miles north of Clinton, and we're probably another 15 miles from Spivey's Corner. Spivey's Corner currently has a helipad, and there's one in the city of Clinton. Well, we've landed helicopters in our field in the past, but at nighttime we have to come out and put out lights and block it off and make sure it's secure. But if we had a permanent helipad, I said, well, this would be ideal, that if EMS needs to land a helicopter at 2 o'clock in the morning, all we have to do is come out, flip a switch. The helicopters already has the GPS coordinates. They know exactly where to come. So we just have to come and just make sure it's secure, flip the switch, and they'll be able to see where to land at. So, but this is going to be very beneficial to EMS, to the community, to another location to help someone to get to advanced hospital pretty quick.
One of the things that strikes me too is when we refer here, for those folks that may be looking at the show or listening that's not from this county or what have you, US 701 is a major corridor through Sampson County that connects I-40, and there's a huge amount of traffic on that road.
Yes. And that's like I said, so like 701 is a main direct travel to I-40, and a lot of your major hospitals are in Chapel Hill, Wake. So EMS, they'll try to proceed towards the major hospitals at something a local hospital cannot fix. But I mean, if it's time saving, we can get a helicopter here and then get you there in half the time. So that's, being on a main highway is going to be beneficial as well.
Eric, from an emergency medical response perspective, the things that you guys do, and literally patient care and so forth, when you heard about this, did it trigger thoughts of, wow, you know, maybe you had needed that in the past? Have you seen times that historically that would have been a great thing to have there, or what's your thoughts?
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, we've utilized the fire department at Halls before to land helicopters at, but from a safety standpoint, it's, you know, we can land helicopters in a lot of places. We can land them on the highway, we can land them in fields, you know, but from a safety standpoint, it's a lot safer for the air crew if they've got a predetermined landing zone with a, you know, concrete helipad or asphalt helipad. It's a lot safer there. A lot of times we're trying to get our STEMI patients or trauma patients up to Wake Med, so, you know, we're wanting to go to 701 corridor up to I-40, you know, so, and depending on where the helicopter's coming from, you know, we could potentially stop in Clinton and wait on the helicopter, but if the helicopter's coming from Goldsboro area or Smithfield area or you know, the Wake County area or somewhere, we can be going that away and meet them and save even more time. You know, so whereas if we stopped in Clinton at the hospital, the helipad, then the helicopter's going to have to fly by Halls and come on out to the hospital. So we're killing time there. You know, in a lot of these instances, time is of essence. You know, especially with our trauma patients or our STEMI patients, cardiac arrest patients, things of that nature.
You're literally talking minutes as it relates to a life-saving experience.
Yes, and you know, someone having a heart attack, you know, time is muscle. You know, I know a lot of people's probably heard the old saying, time is muscle, time is muscle. Well, it is. You know, if that part of the heart is occluded, that vessel's occluded, and, you know, the longer it stays occluded, the more that heart that it's killing off, and, you know, the more that muscle it's killing. And so time is really of essence, you know, on a lot of these calls.
Will, what was the response you got from the Eagle Scout folks when you presented this as a project? Was there an immediate approval? Was it something they had to think about, or what?
Well, actually, it was kind of funny because when we first presented it, the idea, she thought it was a heliport. That's why we've had to be really specific with calling it. an emergency landing zone, because she thought it was a heliport, and those things cost millions of dollars. So she was thinking about that. She was like, there's no way you're doing a heliport, because that was way too much. But once we clarified it, she still had she made us go the extra mile with proving that we could handle it, because it's a big project for an Eagle Scout project. So, but once we had all of our information and everything, we were good to go.
I think, Brian, that reflects on the fact that you already knew that you had community support. I'm pretty sure that you felt very comfortable with that.
Yes, I mean, for our fire department, we've always had good support from the community, and I mean, that's what we rely on, is our community. We're all strictly volunteer, and I mean, without their support, we couldn't do it. So we always had good support. We help them out in the time of needs, and we're there to do whatever. So, but without that.
This is, Will, this is kind of a tremendous opportunity, I think, for the Scouts to really have something in a major way to say, not only in the community, but for people passing by. This is what our Scout leadership and what our Eagle Scouts are doing as projects. This is something that I believe, as many people, I did know some traffic counts on 701, but it's in the thousands. As people pass by, they're going to see this, because where it's positioned, you guys have put it right there in the vision of 701.
So yeah, it is a really good location, because there's not a lot near. It's a rural area, so there's not a lot of helipads near us, but it's a good location, and a lot of people will see it, and hopefully more people will thank the Scouts and maybe join Scouts.
We're going to talk more about this when we come back. We're going to take a quick break, and we have to do that, get sponsors on, but we're going to talk more about this. I want to kind of drill in a little bit to community expectations, and a little bit of what you have in mind too going forward with the project, and kind of where we are now, and hopefully talk about that and inform people. I'm sure everybody wants to support it. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be back in a moment. Stay tuned, and we're talking with folks about a heliport.
For the ultimate Wi-Fi experience, you need whole home Wi-Fi from Star Communications. Star's whole home Wi-Fi provides ultimate coverage, ultimate performance, and ultimate power all the time. Star's whole home Wi-Fi systems feature the latest Wi-Fi 6 technology and are equipped with unrivaled bandwidth and 4 times more simultaneous connections. So you can connect tons of devices throughout your home with no lag and no downtime. Plus, with 24/7 support and remote troubleshooting, you can rest assured that Star is always there to help you should any issues arise. Star's whole home Wi-Fi also comes with the Command IQ mobile app, putting you in control of your home network and making it easy to set up and connect devices, run network speed tests, pause Wi-Fi, and set parental controls all from the palm of your hand. It's the ultimate Wi-Fi experience. Contact Star today to get started.
Just because something may work doesn't mean it's right for your business. Let Star Communications' knowledgeable consultants help you customize a hosted voice system that's right for you. Our dedicated experts work with you to understand your business needs and guide you at every step, from choosing and installing services to ongoing maintenance and support. Contact Star today.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. The We Should Know program is on the air. We're talking about emergency response today, and we're talking with folks that's making a difference in our community. Will Blackman is with us, working on his Eagle Scout badge, or should I say earning your Eagle Scout badge, Will. And we've also got the fire chief with us, Brian Royal, supervisor for the paramedics here in the county, Erick Herring. Most folks know about emergency response. Most folks see that as a critical infrastructure need when it comes to county service. As we went to break, and prior to break, Will was explaining some of the differences between a helipad and a heliport, I believe it was, Will, correct?
Yes.
And one of the things you pointed out was there's millions of dollars difference in building it.
Yes. So a heliport is the FAA has about 1 million requirements for what you have to do for it to be a heliport, and a Heli-Pad is just, you don't have to follow all those requirements. They're more like suggestions. So heliports, I mean, you could probably talk about their requirements for hours and never get to all of them. There's just a lot of stuff you have to do that's more than a helipad to get to a heliport.
And the millions of dollars is the other thing with the heliport too, just the cost.
Yeah, because you have to, obviously all the things, all the requirements and what they're asking you to do for the heliport costs a lot of money.
Absolutely. Eric, one of the things that we were talking off air just a while ago, and you were talking about the importance of having that location, because if not, when you guys call for a helicopter, it may have to land in a field, a cornfield, or a place that appears to be flat. But for the pilots, that's very dangerous.
It very well can be, and you think about it, especially at nighttime, pilots, they're flying in somewhere, and now you're telling them to land on something out here in this field, or this dirt lot, grass lot, whatever the case may be. They really don't know what they're landing on, so I mean, they're having to take your word, or whoever's out there, give them a description and so forth. They have to take their word for it and trust them that, okay, this is a safe place to land. However, if it's a predetermined landing zone, like we've got, like this will be, and several more that we've got across the county, a lot of these pilots, they have flown into them numerous times before, so they're familiar with the location, and when they get there, they know exactly what they're flying into.
Brian, just an observation from the Halls Fire Department point of view, for those folks that might not know, it's almost positioned perfectly for this kind of equipment to land and take off.
Yes, we had land available at the fire department, cleared land. And when we first started talking about the helipad, we invited Duke Life Flight to come out and look at the area, and they said, yes, this is a good location to land a helicopter. We can come here and land, and we can land here today. But when it rains, it might not be ideal. So an ideal scenario, they said, would pour cement, 6 inches of concrete, at least a 50 by 50 pad, and then come out and block it off at least 100 by 100. So then you got 100 by 100 clearance, and then a 50 by 50 just to land the actual helicopter on. They also said lighting would be good. It's not necessary, but lighting so that the helicopter can see the actual helipad at nighttime, know exactly where to go. Permanent GPS coordinates. So once we said, okay, this is going to be a permanent location, now when EMS needs a helicopter, they pick up their radio and they call communication to 911 center and say, look, we need a helicopter. They call them. 911 does not have to fumble with trying to find coordinates. It's already a pre-designated area. We say, come to Halls Fire Department. They know exactly where to come. They're on the way. So that's saving time as well. So
Eric, I want to switch back to you and on this, and I think this is something that we mentioned a while ago. Again, all fair, but it's important. I had it in my notes. It's this idea of prioritization as it relates to when you call for live flight and who gets to go on live flight. I think you call that triage.
We do, yes. We triage, especially motor vehicle accidents and such, where we may have multiple injuries. We have to triage our patients and see who's the most critical and who will benefit from getting transported the quickest and so forth. So we do that on any motor vehicle accident or any type of mass casualty incident where we're having more than one victim. And we and when I say we, I mean in EMS as an industry and healthcare have been able to prove and show that throughout the years with studies that the quicker we can get some of these patients, these bad trauma patients, the quicker we can get them to a trauma center, they can get a trauma surgeon, the greater chance they've got of survivability. Likewise with our not our cardiac arrest patients, but our STEMI patients, people that's having a heart attack. The quicker we can get them to a cath lab where they can get that cath done or whatever the case, whatever they need done, the greater chance that they're going to have of surviving and being able to be discharged from the hospital neurologically intact and with no real deficits.
And part of that too is getting them to a trauma center.
Yes.
Because I've been told that's critically important, because trauma centers has all of those things there. The surgeons are there available. It's not like they got to wait an hour or two to find a surgeon.
Right, and all of your trauma centers or cath labs, PCI centers, they have, the surgeons are on staff. They're there 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. Versus a lot of your smaller hospitals, they either may not even have that service or provide that service, or if they do, they only have a cardiologist there, just during the daytime or something other, Monday through Friday or something of that nature. So, but our trauma centers, Wake Med, UNC, Duke, Vidant, New Hanover, they've got neurologists, trauma surgeons, 24/7.
One of the things that interested me too, and back in prepping for this, I talked to one of the pilots, and if I understood him correctly, they're kind of on like a rotation thing. So, for example, if Duke's tied up and they've got their helicopter out and UNC is available, they'll send that one. So you really don't know which one's going to show up. You're just calling for airlift.
Right. We do, and I tell everybody all the time, we're surrounded by everything but not close to anything.
Right.
We've got the trauma center and the helicopter down in New Hanover County, Wake County, even Cape Fear Valley PCI Center, and they have helicopters. So we're surrounded by all the air agencies, but all the air agencies, they work real well with one another. They don't care, which helicopter comes, and I don't care which helicopter comes gets you. I don't care what color the helicopter is. If I need a helicopter for you, I just want a helicopter. Whoever can get there the quickest and get you to where you need to be the quickest, that's what we want as far as EMS is concerned, and that's what these air agencies want. So if we call UNC or Duke or whoever, and they're busy and they know that, okay, this other agency, they have a helicopter, Vidant's got one sitting at Mount Olive and they're not busy, then they're going to call them, hey, can y'all go handle this call for them?
So it's critical care at its best.
Yes.
So, Brian, I want to flip back to you and then maybe back to Will. One of the things that struck me also when I was looking at what Will is undertaking here, this requires the huge financial support of the community. What has been your experience thus far with that? Is it going well? Do you see everything locking in place?
Well, I want to refer back to when we were talking earlier about the community support. Mm-hmm. I'm very blessed to be the fire chief at Halls Fire Department. We have a very good community. I'm sure other departments are, but anything we really need and ask for, the community's always been behind us. So when Will come to us and his mother was talking with us like doing a Heli-Pad, and they first went to the Eagle Scout, and the Eagle Scout said, no, this is going to be like $1 million project. You're never going to be able to do this. I said, I don't think it's going to be $1 million project. I said, yes, it's probably going to be several thousands of dollars, but it's not going to be $1 million project. She said, well, I don't know if we can raise that much money. I said, if you'll pursue it and you get those stuff out there to our community, you'll get the support from the community. And the community has been very supportive. I'm pretty sure he's raised enough money to go beyond the expectation of the Heli-Pad, lighting, windsock, cement pad, putting a border around it so it's secure. So the community has been very supportive, but we couldn't have done it without them.
Will, kind of fill us in on where we are. Is it looking good financially? Is all that in place?
Yes, we went to a lot of places, and the money we've got a lot of money that's we've just started getting, and we've got for the last month. And I think after the last month was when we first started getting a lot of money, because that's when the businesses started to give the money. Because me and my grandpa, we went to a lot of local businesses in Clinton and Newton Grove, and I think about all of them gave money and got on the sponsorship board. I couldn't think of one that didn't. And so yeah, we have enough. Right now, we think we have enough to complete the project and maintain it for a little bit.
So what I hear you saying, Brian, is that not only or it looks like we're going to have enough, but you'll have enough to do the finished pieces with it as well.
We do have enough financial support, but like I said, we will not turn away anyone that wants to help the fire department out with helping out with something. I mean, if they would contact me, I'd be more glad to lead them in the direction where we need help at. But as far as financial support, we're very supportive right now.
Well, and I, of course, I've looked at the list of a lot of folks that has donated, and I've seen businesses, churches, individuals, families, and it's, as you just said, it steps up and the community says yes, because you're talking something that is a life crisis situation, something that, Eric, you could say is a public health situation. So when we come back, I want to kind of dig a little bit deeper into the Scout situation, because I'm so proud of this young man that's sitting between you guys today and the role model he's presenting. So in this next segment, I want to touch on that a bit, and we'll continue this conversation for a couple more segments here. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being with us. We'll be back in a moment. We're talking about a major project happening here in rural Sampson County called a Heli-Pad. We'll be back in a moment.
Providing fewer commutes, more backyard offices, and crystal clear meetings. Providing less, you froze up, and more presence in your presentations. Providing a better internet experience. Providing possible.
You're out for an evening on the town. Finally a chance to relax and forget that you left your front door completely unlocked. Fortunately, you just installed a security system from Star Communications. With just your cell phone, you can check on your house, lock it down, light it up, and get back to relaxing.
You forgot to put Buster in his crate.
Unfortunately, we can't help with that. Security and automation from Star Communications. Call today to find out more.
Most aging adults want to stay in their homes as long as possible. And as your loved ones get older, you want to support them, even when you can't be there. Star is proud to offer Star Alert. This new system is now mobile and has GPS compatibility, so your loved ones can live their lives and you can have peace of mind, knowing they can get the help they need with just the simple push of a button. The new Star Alert also offers automatic fall detection, so help will be alerted even if they can't press the button. Call and ask about Star Alert today.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Thank you for being with us today. I'm J.W. Simmons, your host of a program called We Should Know. Airs weekly on Star Communications Channel 16, WCLN Radio. Today we're talking with folks about a project here in Sampson County that has been critically important, and it's ongoing and building, and it's all because a young man by the name of Will Blackman stepped up for his Eagle Scout project and said we need to have a Heli-Pad at the Halls Fire Department. We got the Chief of the Halls Fire Department, Brian Royal, here, and Erick Herring, who is the supervisor for paramedics here in the county. Will, I want to spin right back to you on this segment and give you an opportunity to talk about the Scouts. And I'm looking at that banner that you've got around you there, and I'm talking for folks that are looking at it on TV now, there's a huge number of badges. And when I say badges, these are things that you have earned by doing things that you have successfully accomplished. And I'm not going to ask you to get into what every one of those badges are, but tell us what the Scouts have meant to you, and what, just anything that you feel like is important for folks to know, what it does for somebody at your age to have those kinds of credentials on your shoulder.
Well, all these merit badges are just individual skills that you've learned. You've likely went to a class or watched something online about, and you have to get it marked off by somebody that specializes in that area to give you the merit badge. So there's all kinds of stuff. I have an Indian lore one, farm mechanics, search and rescue. Those are some of the side ones, but the main ones that you need to have for Scouts are the Eagle Required, which is stuff like camping, physical fitness, swimming, citizenship in the community, all that type of stuff. So each merit badge usually has about 10 to 20 requirements that you need to get done for it. So it takes a decent amount of time to get them, but they're worth it because you get to learn new stuff all the time with Scouts.
So you've got a lot of things you've gone through, but there's some specialty areas that you've got to have to move where you're moving now, which is the Eagle Scout ranking.
Yes.
I mean, I look at it sometimes and I look back, we've had a number of presidents that were Eagle Scouts. We've had a lot of people in very key positions, both in leadership and other positions in this country, that have the honor of saying I was an Eagle Scout. So, Erick, I'll kind of spin back to you, because I know you do work not only as a paramedic, but you work with law enforcement as well in some very special positions there. How important it is for you when you look at this and what Will has achieved so far to feel like we've got people like that out there that will fill your shoes at whatever time you decide, I'm not going to do this anymore?
I think it's really important, JW. I think one thing as far as the Scouts and organizations like that, it gives a lot of teenagers and young boys and girls a direction and a path in life. Unfortunately, this day and time, we know we got so many homes that, the father's absent from the home or single parent home, and for whatever reason, the single parent just does not have the time to spend and lead and guide that kid, the way that they truly need to be. But I think the Scouts is an organization that helps provide that path and keeps that young adult on a right track, and keeps them out of trouble. And I think the more that, he's learning a lot of things there in the Scouts that, could potentially pique his interest one day, whether it's emergency services or, fire department, EMS, law enforcement, or emergency management, forestry service, anything of that nature. He may take one little class or whatever and earn his badge, but it may pique his interest and like, I really like this. I want to make a career out of this, or look further into it, at least at the possibility of making a career out of it. Absolutely.
And Brian, I think about you and the others in the county. At one time, I remember there was about 17 volunteer fire departments. Yes. Not sure how many we got now, but there's quite a few fire districts now. Yes. Different. This is the kind of thing that you look for when people come in and they want to be a volunteer emergency responder with fire service, is those people that's willing to give more than what's expected, and I think the Scouts represent that.
Yes, sir. Matter of fact, for us, the fire department level, we're always looking for people that's wanting to be involved in the community and help the community. But going back to his Eagle Scout, yes, he's working on his Eagle Scout, and he's probably not even thought about that this is preparing him for the future, for like a role model. Mm-hmm. Because when he went and asked to do a helipad, they said it's not feasible. And then he said, well, it's a helipad, not a heliport. And they started explaining, so he had to work and prove that it can be done. So he's actually getting the skills to prove to people that this can be done, and getting the speaking knowledge to going out to business and stuff and saying this is what we need. So he's representing himself and he's gaining knowledge to be a leader. Mm-hmm. And then that thinks back that when I'm a volunteer fire chief, when I leave the fire department, maybe someone like Will can come in and lead the fire department. Could you imagine a fire department with 35 firefighters just out there fighting fire without a leader? You've got to have someone that's in charge. I've got plenty of people who can drive a fire truck. I've got people who can fight fire, but you're going to have that leader, someone with the knowledge that can get out and talk to people, talk to their firefighters, be on a good level communication skills. So what he's doing, Eagle Scouts, is building them for the future.
Well, do you sense, we don't want to put too much weight on you here now, but do you sense that's what's happening to you, that you are being molded into a great expectation of doing some outstanding things in life for your community to move forward? Are you starting to feel that as you work on this Eagle Scout recognition?
Yes, because I think I learned a lot going from with my grandpa when we went to businesses, and I'll go in there and have to explain the project, tell them the funding goal, give them a paper, and give them like our address, email for them to get back to us. And I really learned a lot about how to speak 2 people and in charge and of higher rank, I guess you could say, and that helped me a lot.
You also, it sounds like to me you're saying also you got to kind of read people, how they reacted to what you were offering them and how important it was. Did most folks you talked to feel like you could look at them and go, yeah, they're into this, they're ready, they're going to do something? Is that the feeling you got?
Yes, because a lot of the businesses, they were really supportive of Eagle Scout projects, especially something so local and close to them. I think, like what I said with our funding, I don't think there's one business that we went to that didn't give money.
It's important what you said too a while ago, Brian, about the funding aspect. The important thing is that not only it appears where we are right now, as sometimes I'll say at this point in time, because everything changes, yes, but at this point in time, it appears that not only we're going to have a helipad, but we're going to have the finishing pieces to that,
yes,
to make that happen.
Yes, I mean, we'll have to keep it maintained, keep the shrubbery cut back so it's still visible for the helicopter to land. We're still going to have to maintain it. So it's still going to be important to have support from the community to help us out. But as far as the actual getting the helipad there, we're set in stone to go ahead and complete the project.
I want to talk, and Eric, you might fill in some space here as well, but just for a few minutes here, we got a couple of minutes before break, but kind of fill us in on expectations. When somebody comes by, say I'm a person driving by and I see, wow, that helicopter circling. I believe I want to get closer and look at that thing. Is there, and we might have to go in the next segment to finish this, but I think it's important. Is there things we need to know, should I say, not to do?
Do not approach the helicopter. That's the main number one thing, which a lot of times our fire department will be there and keep people back. But there, while those blades are spinning, nobody needs to approach the helicopter. And a lot of times that's something, the helicopter landing, people don't get to see all the time. So a lot of times we see it happening when we are landing helicopters on the scene. The public, they'll stop and they see the helicopter circling and they're like, oh, the helicopter's fixing to land. So they'll stop and watch it and so forth. But most everybody, they're smart enough to know that, okay, I just need to stay back and stay in my car, because it is the rotor wash is going to kick up a lot of debris and dust and dirt, especially if you're not landing on a concrete pad. But the good thing about this concrete pad, you're not going to have near as much of that dust and dirt and debris that's flying up and getting in everybody's face and eyes.
I think that's important, particularly for the fire department and where this thing is going to be located, because the building is in close proximity to the helipad.
Yes.
So if you've got people going down 701, and as Eric just pointed out, all of a sudden they decide, well, I'm just going to whip in there. I mean, they might get in front of one of your fire truck bays, and you're not going to be happy with that at all.
No, that's great. But like Eric said, is so the fire department, where we come in a row at, EMS, they usually have 2 people on a truck. They got a driver and then someone to work on a patient. So then they call the fire department in and we help kind of control the traffic, the crowd, keep the crowd back so we can land the helicopter, make sure we got a safe perimeter for the helicopter to land.
So you'll have people, both you guys will have people
we are
to kind of help
together.
with that.
Yep.
Plus, I guess, if necessary, law enforcement will be in place to do that.
Yep.
When we come back from this break, I want to touch on an event that recently happened near the Halls Fire Department involving a traffic accident, and kind of, I want both of you to kind of walk us through how that unfolded, which resulted in the need to bring in a helicopter, which I think it landed at Halls, I'm not sure, yes, but it landed in proximity there. But I think that'll be a good example of what Will's working on that'll help bolster the ability and capacity for our local rural fire department, which would be critical. We'll discuss that when we come back from this break. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being with us today. And also, we're going to be coming back in just a moment, and we're going to talk about an actual situation that just recently occurred, and you can see why this helipad is critically important. Back in a moment.
Eastern North Carolina is a beautiful place where we gladly choose to call home. and we strive to provide the best communications services. STAR is committed to improving communications to all our service areas because we want to improve the communities where we not only work, but also live. STAR Communications. We are neighbors serving neighbors.
If you run a business, you need sales. To get sales, you need customers. To get customers, you need exposure. Let our team of experts craft and produce the perfect video ad to reach your intended audience while making the most of your advertising dollars. Call 1-800-706-6538 or visit starcom.net to contact our Star Communications production team and get your business moving to the next level.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. J.W. Simmons here, your host on a program called We Should Know. We're talking with three people today. We're talking about something critically important to the community you live in, to the community you may be passing through. We're talking about a heliport. We're talking about Eagle Scout recognition. We're talking about emergency medical paramedic response. We're talking about Hall's Fire Department in Sampson County. Of course, Brian, you've been with us a number of times on the show. This is Will Blackman's first time as the Eagle Scout candidate here. And Eric, you've been on several times as well. What we do here is try to develop a sense of education and information for folks. So, Will, I'm going to go back to you before we get into more detail on a lot of issues facing the project that you decided to do. As you look at where you are now, as you think about this from a point as a now soon-to-be Eagle Scout, what would you say has been the most educational value for you for being in the Scouts? And I'm asking that question because there may be some parents or grandparents out there that would say, I want to talk to my grandson, or I want to talk to my son, or I want to talk to my child about getting involved with the Scouts. Just tell us a little bit about what you feel has been the benefit for you.
Well, there's been two main benefits about. One, it's a side of leadership and learning how to manage your time and being responsible for things you've opened up in the past, because once you open up one of these merit badges to complete, you need to complete it before you can start more. So it's really helped me being able to manage my time and manage knowing what I need to get done by a certain time and helping this project. And another main thing is the scouting is the part of actually going out in the wilderness and surviving out there and making your own food. We went on like a 5-day backpacking trip one time where everything we had was on our backs, and we walked 5 miles with it. So that was a lot of responsibility, because if you get to pack a meal, you're not eating. So it really helped, and it was really challenging, but I got through it and learned a lot from it.
And this was done for you at even a younger age than you are now, because obviously those badges you've earned over the past years or so involved with Scouts.
Yeah, probably about when I was 10 or 11, I started earning these. And I think we went on that backpacking trip when I was 12.
Wow. And so even at that young age, Eric, we see a young man that earned something, and he talked about all the badges, but those badges to me and what he just said tells me he earned a sense of self-reliance.
I think he did, and I think, as we were talking a little bit earlier off air, the role model that he's presenting to other Scouts or others that may not be in the Scouts, just his peers in school or at church or in the community or wherever, they see what he's doing, and that role model aspect, and they're thinking, okay, maybe I want to try that. That looks like something fun and interesting, and they see that he's building a helipad, or when the word gets out that he's the reason that helipad is there, it may inspire others, to do other projects of equally as important value and so forth.
Brian, I think about, the fire chief's role in the community also as a role of leadership. You alluded to that a while ago. But the other thing that strikes me is folks like Will, as they continue to evolve, these folks are going to have huge influence in the community for people like you.
Yes.
That need to reach out to somebody and say, hey, can you help me connect with so-and-so? My sense is they're going to know the needs you've got, plus they're going to need, they have this idea of who you need to connect with to make something happen.
Yes, I mean, he's going to be a very vital tool to the community, especially with his role. But also what's exciting to knowing after I've sit here and talked to him about his Eagle Scout project is how dedicated he is to get this Heli-Pad up. Once he turns 16-year-old, at 16 years of age, you can be a volunteer firefighter. I can start training you. So I'm gonna be knocking on his door and say, hey, you can come and join the fire department. I mean, because if we don't start recruiting young people like Will that's involved in the community, we're going to end up having to try to find funding one day to pay firefighters. I mean, there's already happening in this community, but as long as we can get people that just want to serve the community like Will's doing, I'm gonna be knocking on his door. So I want him to keep up the good work, and I'll be looking for him and a lot more in the community. I want to do the same.
Eric, you hear that, and I just remember all of these fire chiefs, they're always recruiting. I can tell you that.
That's right.
They're always recruiting.
Right.
So I want to kind of touch on this if we can, and kind of give folks an example. Recently, and let you walk us through what happened, both of you. We had an accident that occurred not too many miles from the fire station of where this Heli-Pad is going to be. As I recall, it involved multiple victims in that traffic accident and multiple vehicles. Eric, there was a couple of those folks, as I remember, that had to be airlifted. Tell us how that went and walk us through that process.
And Brian may be able to speak to it better than I can, because I did not actually go to that call. But anytime we have a motor vehicle accident like that where there's multiple injuries, and depending on the severity of their injuries, we can call aircraft in, helicopters to come in. It's additional tool force. We've only got 7 ambulances running in the county. So anytime we take an ambulance and go to a trauma center like Wake Med or something, we're looking at being gone 2.5, 3 hours. That ambulance is going to be out of service. That particular night, I think. And the other thing as well is if the patient is pinned in and it's going to take an extended extrication time, if we can get the helicopter on scene, and a lot of times that happens on accident scenes. The helicopter is actually on scene before we're able to ever extricate the patient out of the vehicle. So then we can put them on the helicopter and they can be back at Wake Med from the Clinton area in 20-25 minutes, where it's going to take us 50 to 60 minutes to drive from Clinton to Wake Med. So it's that time thing again.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that Eric just alluded to, Brian, is that, and you've mentioned this before, but it's fire department and this rescue, which means what you just alluded to, that extrication piece, that safely getting somebody out of something that may be mangled. There might be fire involved in it, but might not, but you respond to all those. In this particular instant, there was 2 that was airlifted. Is that what I understand?
Yes, there was 2 that was airlifted. And we actually landed 2 helicopters at the fire department that night. But I want to touch base back what you just said, rescue. Several years ago, you seen an EMS truck going down the road and they said, well, there's the rescue squad. Well, EMS used to do extrication. And then when they transitioned over to paramedics, they were more towards patient care. So fire departments, they've started picking up on the rescue. So we're Hall's Fire Rescue. Rescue, we extricate people from vehicles, we help rescue them. So once someone calls the 911 center, says, okay, there's someone that's been involved in an accident, fire department's dispatched, rescue's dispatched, if it's the fire department handler or who, and EMS is dispatched, of course, and law enforcement's dispatched. Fire departments are usually pretty well close to the area. I mean, stationed every 7 miles from each other. So fire departments are usually the first ones to arrive. We check the scene out. We say, okay, what we got. If someone's pinned, check the patients out. We're not medical professionals. We relate to the EMS, say, this is what we got. We got 5 people involved in this. 2 looks like they're pretty serious, 3 probably can be just triaged. So then EMS says, okay, they call communication, we need a helicopter. We're going to send a helicopter to Hall's Fire Department. Then they rely back to us and say, okay, now will someone go to Hall's Fire Department and set up a landing zone? Well, if we already got a pre-designated landing zone, then they know exactly where to come, but someone still has to go out there, make sure it is clear and it's ready for the helicopter to land, and actually switch over to the helicopter channel and talk to the helicopter and land the helicopter. So that's what happened that day. Is EMS says, okay, we need 2 helicopters. They're going to Hall's Fire Department, and then told the fire department, and then we send someone to the fire department to land those 2 helicopters.
You mentioned me off air too, Eric, that that's something that's happened recently multiple times right here in the county.
Yeah, just so far in 2023, I think we've used air agencies to transport patients to trauma centers and PCI centers a total of 25 times so far this year.
Wow. Will, I want to switch back to you. We're kind of coming to closing the show off here. I want to make sure that I've covered everything that we've got a bunch of talking points that we hadn't got to yet, but I want to make sure that if there's anything that you want to touch on that we hadn't hit related to the Scouts. I know there's a huge amount of information. We'd have to do a whole another show maybe with you and your Scoutmaster or something, but is there one or two things that you want to touch on?
Yeah, so one more thing that not a lot of people think about when you're talking about Scouts is how a lot of kids, they're not as physically active, not out in nature as much, and I think Scouts does a good job. At least that's been one of my favorite parts of Scouts, is where else are you going to go out for a weekend living out on the woods, playing with your friends, doing whatever, living off the land? Mm-hmm. Where else can you do that? And I think it's a good thing for kids to do, to get out in nature. And
that relationship building, you're able to communicate, get along with people, that kind of thing.
Yes.
I think these traits that we're all hearing are something that needs to be capitalized on. So, and I guess for Will, for your project, if somebody's interested in what you're doing, they wanted more information, they could contact you, or Chief, they could contact you as well.
They sure can. And like I said, anything that we can do for our community, or the community wants to support us, just to contact me or someone at Hall's Fire Department, and we'll lead you in the right direction.
And that this project, Will, as it goes forward, for those folks out there that may be watching saying, well, I'd love to talk to him or what have you, is it, if you got any idea, is it a good idea to call you, or would you rather them to go through the fire department?
It'd probably be better for them to go through the fire department, and then he could relay the message to me, and we could talk about what they want to talk about.
Absolutely. And I think the good thing with that is there's a segue, because there may be parents again or others out there that says, well, how do I get my kid involved in this thing that Will Blackman is going through, and now is fixing to get his Eagle Scout? How do I get this person involved? Or Eric, is you and I talked about the need for that, so I think it's where we are.
Definitely.
Anything else? I've got about 10 seconds. We all good? Sounds great. I want to thank every one of you for being here. Will, congratulations on this distinguished opportunity for you, because I can't wait for you to get that Eagle Scout tag, and I salute you for doing it, and thank you for what you're doing. I'm looking for a lot out of you.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being with us. We look forward to seeing you again next week right here on We Should Know. And as always, may God bless.
Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of We Should Know with host J.W. Simmons. If you have a question, comment, or suggestion regarding this or any episode, please send your emails to weshouldknowedu@gmail.com. And remember to tune in every Tuesday at 2:30 for another informative episode of We Should Know.